On the edge of known space lies a death world named Varkesh 9, a planet so brutal that most species avoid it altogether. Its atmosphere is thick with toxic gases, violent storms rage endlessly, and deadly predators roam the sprawling, jagged wilderness. The human colony that calls Varkesh 9 home is a testament to sheer grit and survival instinct. These Deathworlders aren't just survivors. They've evolved and adapted in ways that defy all expectations. Hardened by decades of fighting the planet itself, they have become warriors forged by a relentless environment. Despite their toughness, the colony is small and isolated. They maintain a fragile existence, eking out resources from the hostile planet, and keeping their defenses active against constant raids from scavenger aliens who see Varkesh 9 as an untapped prize. The colony's leader, Captain Rian Talvos, is a battle-hardened veteran who understands that survival here demands both strategy and brutality. One fateful day, scanners pick up a fleet of alien warships moving rapidly toward their system. These ships belong to the Zarath Dominion, a powerful and ruthless alien empire known for crushing planets underfoot and harvesting resources with no regard for life. The Zarath have set their sights on Varkesh 9, viewing it as a rich, strategic asset despite its hostile conditions. Talvos orders an emergency lockdown and prepares the colony's limited defenses. The few defense turrets and guerrilla fighters are deployed, but they know the odds are against them. The Zarath fleet vastly outnumbers and outguns the colony's forces. The alien raiders arrive in overwhelming force, firing plasma salvos and deploying dropships filled with shock troops. The colony's defenses hold briefly, using terrain advantages and ambush tactics to inflict some damage, but it's a losing battle. Recognizing that no help is coming from their usual allies, galactic powers that often ignore the struggles of Deathworld colonies, Talvos makes a critical decision. He orders the activation of the colony's deep space distress beacon, sending out an SOS that pierces the void. The signal is raw and urgent, a plea for aid from any who can hear it. It is a call for salvation, broadcast into the vastness of the space. But the SOS doesn't go unnoticed by just potential allies. Other alien factions intercept the signal and scoff at it. To them, the Deathworlders are primitive, expendable, and hardly worth the effort. The Zarath Dominion commanders treat the signal as nothing but noise, a desperate scream from a planet they intend to conquer without mercy. Within the colony, fear and determination mix. Families prepare for the worst while fighters steel themselves for a fight to the death. Talvos rallies his people with a fierce speech, reminding them that their survival depends on resilience and unity. The Deathworlders have faced extinction before, and each time they emerged stronger. Meanwhile, in distant parts of the galaxy, the SOS travels like a ripple through the network of human settlements and military outposts. Some listen with skepticism. Others are moved by the raw desperation behind the signal. Among them is the commander of a secretive human fleet, one built from survivors of harsh Deathworlds and trained to strike hard and fast. This fleet's fate, for now, remains unknown to the colony on Varkesh 9, but its arrival will change the course of the conflict and the galaxy's view of Deathworlders forever. As the desperate SOS from Varkesh 9 ripples through space, the broader galaxy remains largely indifferent. The advanced civilizations that dominate interstellar politics see Deathworlds like Varkesh 9 as harsh, inhospitable places, more trouble than they're worth. To many, these planets are borderline cursed, home only to savage species or primitive outposts that complicate diplomatic relations and strategic planning. The Galactic Council, a coalition of powerful alien species and human factions, receives the SOS but chooses to classify it as low priority. Deathworld colonies, especially those on worlds as hostile as Varkesh 9, are often viewed as expendable. Their inhabitants are expected to fend for themselves or perish without intervention. The political calculus is simple. Sending fleets to protect Deathworlds risks unnecessary conflicts, drains resources, and upsets delicate alliances. Inside the council chambers, representatives argue over resource allocations and potential political fallout. Many see the Deathworlders as troublemakers, unpredictable, violent, and difficult to control. Some even argue that their destruction would serve as a warning to other fringe colonies. Humanity's reputation for surviving on Deathworlds is known but dismissed as reckless stubbornness rather than a reason to extend aid. Meanwhile, on Varkesh 9, the situation grows bleaker. Alien raiders, pirates, mercenaries, and forces loyal to the Zareth Dominion intensify their assaults. Their goal is simple: conquer the planet and seize its mineral wealth and strategic position. The Deathworlder militia, despite their fierce combat skills and intimate knowledge of the brutal terrain, are overwhelmed by sheer numbers. Guerrilla fighters stage hit-and-run attacks using underground tunnels, toxic swamps, and volcanic ridges to their advantage. Their tactics frustrate the alien invaders who are used to more straightforward battles. Yet, the constant pressure wears down the defenders. Supply lines are cut, civilians take refuge in fortified caves, and casualties mount. The colony's morale wavers but does not break. At the same time, the SOS has reached a distant human fleet stationed on the fringes of known space. This fleet, known as the Sentinel Wing, is an elite unit composed largely of veterans from other Deathworld colonies, soldiers bred for survival under the harshest conditions. Their ships and weapons have been modified based on Deathworld technologies, making them agile, tough, and deadly. The fleet's commander, Admiral Kale Voran, receives the SOS. Unlike the Galactic Council, Voran understands the stakes. He sees the Deathworlders not as expendable outcasts, but as the vanguard of humanity's resilience and strength. In the fleet's war room, heated discussions unfold. Some officers warn that intervening risks a full-scale war with the Zareth Dominion, but Voran insists that humanity cannot abandon its own, especially those who embody the indomitable spirit that makes humans feared and respected across the stars. Back on Varkesh 9, Captain Rin Talvos and his command staff fight to maintain order and hope. They share scarce updates of the political indifference and the slim chance of reinforcement, yet Talvos keeps his people focused on survival. "We are Deathworlders," he reminds them. "We endure because we must, and when help comes, we'll find a people ready to fight with everything we have." This part of the story emphasizes the cold calculus of galactic politics, how powerful factions prioritize their interests over the desperate cries from the fringes. It also contrasts that with the Deathworlders' fierce survivalism and the willingness of a select few, like Admiral Voran and the Sentinel Wing, to stand against the tide of indifference. The stage is set for a clash not just of fleets and soldiers but of ideals. The dismissive arrogance of a complacent galaxy versus the stubborn, lethal tenacity of Deathworlders who refuse to die quietly. The atmosphere around Varkesh 9 thickens with tension as the beleaguered Deathworlder colony braces for the inevitable. The Zareth Dominion's forces have tightened their grip, bombing supply caches and hammering defensive outposts. The alien raiders grow bolder with each passing hour, expecting the colony to crumble under their might. But just as hope begins to fade, a new presence breaks the horizon. A human fleet unlike any the galaxy has seen before. The fleet's arrival is sudden and decisive. Out of the star-speckled void, the Sentinel Wing emerges, their ships sleek, heavily armed and moving with calculated precision. These vessels aren't just conventional warships. They are the product of decades of adaptation and innovation forged on Deathworlds across human space. Their hulls are reinforced with composite alloys designed to withstand extreme environments and punishing attacks. Their weapon systems incorporate experimental plasma and electromagnetic pulses, optimized for rapid, overwhelming strikes. Admiral Kale Voran commands the fleet with an unyielding resolve. He's no stranger to Deathworlder warfare. He himself is a product of one of the harshest colonies, known for his tactical brilliance and ruthless efficiency. Voran's approach is a perfect blend of calculated strategy and raw aggression, honed by years of fighting in brutal, unforgiving environments. The initial contact shocks the Zareth Dominion. They had assumed the Deathworld colony was doomed, and any reinforcements, if they existed, would be insignificant. Instead, the arrival of the fleet is a devastating surprise, shattering their complacency. Their flagship commander scrambles to regroup, issuing urgent orders to confront this unexpected threat. The battle erupts in orbit above Varkesh 9. The Sentinel wing strikes fast and hard, focusing on disrupting the Zareth command and supply vessels. Fleet fighters dart through the chaos like predatory hawks escorting dropships carrying reinforcements down to the planet's surface. Vorin coordinates a multi-pronged assault. Orbital bombardments soften enemy formations while guerrilla squads on the ground push back raiders with lethal precision. On the ground, Captain Rin Talvos watches as the tide begins to turn. The arrival of the fleet is a game-changer, providing fresh troops, advanced technology, and a renewed sense of hope. Deathworlder fighters, already skilled in brutal close-quarters combat, integrate seamlessly with the fleet's marines. Their combined tactics blend familiarity with the planet's lethal terrain and devastating firepower. Amid the chaos, Vorin reveals his personal connection to the Deathworlders' struggle. Raised on a similar hostile world, he understands what's at stake, not just for the colony, but for humanity's reputation in the galaxy. His fleet isn't here merely to defend. It's here to send a message that Deathworlders will not be abandoned or underestimated. The fleet's advanced sensors detect and exploit weaknesses in the Zareth formations. Using hit-and-run tactics, they slice through enemy lines, forcing the aliens into defensive retreats. Plasma torpedoes strike with deadly accuracy, crippling the enemy's capital ships. The battle evolves into a brutal chess game of attrition and maneuvering. Despite the initial shock, the Zareth regroup and launch counterattacks, but the Sentinel wing holds firm. The aliens quickly learn that this fleet is not like any they've faced before. These human ships fight with a ferocity and discipline born of centuries of survival on worlds that would have broken lesser species. As the conflict rages, the combined Deathworlder and fleet forces push the Zareth back, reclaiming lost ground and securing vital supply routes. The story at this point conveys a powerful shift, the moment when the galaxy begins to recognize that Deathworlders are far from helpless, and humanity's fleet embodies a lethal force driven by indomitable will. The battle for Varkesh 9 escalates into a brutal war of attrition. After the sudden and overwhelming arrival of Admiral Kale Vorin's fleet, the aliens find themselves scrambling to maintain control. The Zareth Dominion, long accustomed to crushing smaller forces with ease, face an enemy far more cunning and ruthless than they anticipated. The arrival of the Sentinel wing has fundamentally shifted the balance of power, but victory is far from guaranteed. The war is entering its most critical phase. On the ground, the Deathworlders leverage their intimate knowledge of the planet's hostile terrain. The rugged volcanic ridges, toxic swamps, and dense, poisonous jungles become natural fortresses. Guerrilla squads composed of hardened veterans of the colony launch relentless hit-and-run raids against alien encampments. They strike swiftly, disappearing into the terrain before the aliens can mount an effective counterattack. These tactics frustrate the Zareth commanders, who had expected a straightforward siege and occupation. The Sentinel wing fleet provides invaluable support. Orbital bombardments are laser-focused and precise, targeting supply lines, communication hubs, and enemy staging areas without collateral damage to civilian zones. Advanced drone swarms swarm enemy vessels, overwhelming their defenses, while rapid repair ships keep the fleet battle-ready, despite constant engagements. The synergy between ground forces and fleet operations becomes a deadly dance, designed to exploit every weakness. Admiral Vorin, understanding the crucial moment, orders a bold maneuver. He deploys the fleet's experimental stealth frigates to infiltrate the enemy's command network. These ships bypass the Zareth sensor grids and plant sophisticated electronic warfare devices designed to disrupt enemy communications and navigation. This cripples the aliens' ability to coordinate, sowing confusion and panic across their ranks. Amidst this chaos, the Deathworlders unveil their secret weapon, genetically enhanced scouts bred specifically for Varkesh 9's brutal conditions. These scouts possess unparalleled endurance, heightened senses, and lethal combat instincts. They infiltrate enemy lines, gathering intelligence and sabotaging critical infrastructure, striking terror into the hearts of the Zareth troops. The aliens begin to fear the very ground they stand on. Captain Rin Talvos leads one of these scout teams personally, demonstrating unmatched leadership and ferocity. His intimate knowledge of Varkesh Nine's dangers turns the environment itself into a weapon. Talvos's squad ambushes a major alien supply convoy deep within the toxic marshes, cutting off reinforcements and tipping the scales in favor of the defenders. The Zareth Dominion, once confident of an easy conquest, now faces a relentless enemy that refuses to yield. Their command structure breaks down under the weight of disrupted communications and constant harassment. Desperation leads them to attempt brutal reprisals against captured Deathworlders, only to harden the resolve of the human defenders further. The turning point arrives during a massive battle near the colony's central hub. Using combined fleet and ground tactics, Vorin and Talvos coordinate a devastating pincer attack. The Sentinel Wing fleet crushes the alien ships in orbit, while Deathworlder fighters swarm the ground forces, cutting off their retreat. The Zareth suffer catastrophic losses, forced into a full-scale retreat. With the victory secured, the colony stabilizes, and the fleet establishes a defensive perimeter to protect against any further incursions. The aliens are left licking their wounds and reevaluating their assumptions about Deathworlders. It becomes clear across the galaxy that these humans, born and forged on the harshest of worlds, are not only survivors, but fierce warriors capable of turning the tide of battle against overwhelming odds. This part underscores a critical theme. The resilience and adaptability born from living on a Deathworld translates into battlefield dominance when combined with advanced technology and strategic brilliance. The Deathworlders and their fleet have transformed from desperate defenders into an unstoppable force, sending a resounding warning to any who would dare threaten them. After the decisive victory near the colony's central hub, the Zareth Dominion is reeling, shaken to its core by the unexpected ferocity and tactical brilliance of the Deathworlders and the Sentinel Wing fleet. What was supposed to be a swift and easy conquest has become a humiliating defeat that threatens the Dominion's reputation and control over this sector of space. In the Zareth High Command, tensions run high. Commanders bicker over strategy, blaming one another for the failures on Varkesh 9. Some call for immediate withdrawal, fearing the loss of more ships and troops. Others, driven by pride and desperation, demand a renewed, ruthless campaign to crush the Deathworlder resistance once and for all. Amid this turmoil, an emergency summit of the Zareth elite convenes. Their leaders decide on a radical plan. They will unleash their secret weapon, a terrifying biomechanical superweapon, designed to terraform hostile planets and annihilate all resistance. This weapon, previously kept hidden to avoid galactic scrutiny, is to be deployed on Varkesh 9, eradicating the colony and all life on the planet. Back on Varkesh 9, the Deathworlders and their human fleet allies intercept intelligence about the looming threat. The revelation ignites a fierce determination among the defenders. Captain Rin Talvos rallies his people, reminding them that surrender is not an option and that their survival means standing tall against annihilation itself. Admiral Kale Vorin mobilizes the fleet to prepare for a final, desperate defense. As the biomechanical superweapon approaches, the atmosphere of the battle shifts from guerrilla skirmishes to all-out war. The alien forces rally, throwing everything they have at the colony in a last-ditch effort to secure victory before their weapon can be stopped. The superweapon's arrival is apocalyptic. Towering and grotesque, it begins its terrifying work of reshaping the landscape, melting mountains, vaporizing forests, and turning the planet's toxic swamps into lifeless wastelands. The Deathworlders, however, refuse to retreat. Using their unmatched knowledge of Varkesh 9's deadly environment, they launch coordinated strikes to disrupt the weapon's support infrastructure, sabotaging supply chains and communications. Admiral Vorin commands a daring space assault targeting the superweapon's vulnerable control systems. Fleet fighters weave through fierce anti-air defenses, while specialized Marines prepare for a direct boarding assault. The battle becomes a high-stakes gamble. If the defenders fail, the colony, and the fleet, will be wiped out. If they succeed, it will mark one of the greatest triumphs in human and Deathworlder history. In the midst of this desperate battle, the Deathworlders display incredible heroism and resilience. Captain Talvos leads a critical strike team into the heart of the biomechanical beast, navigating toxic vents and deadly traps to reach its core. The team plants powerful explosives, their success dependent on precise timing coordinated with the fleet's orbital strike. With seconds to spare, the Sentinel wing delivers a devastating blow, crippling the superweapon and sending shockwaves through the alien forces. The biomechanical terror collapses in a heap of twisted metal and writhing organic matter, its destruction signaling the beginning of the Zareth Dominion's retreat. The battle's aftermath leaves Varkesh 9 scarred, but free. The Deathworlders stand victorious, their indomitable spirit and unity having repelled a force that many thought unstoppable. The galaxy watches in awe as word of their triumph spreads, a powerful reminder that Deathworlders are not just survivors of brutal worlds, but warriors capable of shaping the fate of entire star systems. The Sentinel Wing's success rekindles hope and respect across human and alien civilizations alike, challenging long-held prejudices and opening new possibilities for alliances. Based on mutual strength and resilience, the dust settles over Varkesh 9, a planet battered but unbeaten. The battle that once seemed impossible has been won, but the real victory lies beyond the battlefield. The Deathworlders, once dismissed as expendable, have carved a legacy that will resonate throughout the galaxy for generations. Their SOS call was answered not just with weapons but with unwavering determination, a testament to humanity's enduring spirit and the price of underestimating those who thrive where others perish. With the Zareth Dominion's retreat, Varkesh 9 enters a new era. The colony begins the slow process of rebuilding, transforming scars of war into symbols of resilience. The survivors, soldiers, civilians, and fleet personnel work tirelessly to restore their homes, reclaim their territory, and honor those who fell defending their world. Captain Rin Talvos emerges as a respected leader, his name becoming synonymous with courage and unyielding will. His stories circulate among Deathworlder communities, inspiring others facing similar threats. Admiral Kale Vorin and the Sentinel Wing fleet remain in orbit, acting as a protective shield and a symbol of human resolve. Their presence deters opportunistic enemies and signals that Deathworlders will never stand alone again. Vorin uses this time to forge alliances, reaching out to other isolated colonies and fringe worlds that have long suffered under the shadow of galactic indifference. The victory at Varkesh 9 reverberates far beyond the immediate conflict. Across the Galactic Council, the narrative around Deathworlders begins to shift. The powerful alien factions can no longer dismiss these hardened humans as mere nuisances. The Deathworlders' ability to fight with ingenuity, ferocity, and unity forces a reconsideration of their place in the galactic order. Some factions extend tentative offers of alliance, while others watch cautiously, knowing humanity's reputation for survival and warfare has grown exponentially. The story explores the cultural transformation within humanity itself. The Deathworlders' triumph fosters a renewed pride in their identity, one forged in the crucible of brutal worlds where only the toughest survive. This identity shapes new generations, who grow up knowing that their heritage includes not only hardship, but also honor and strength. Training programs and military doctrines evolve, incorporating lessons learned on Varkesh 9 and other Deathworld colonies, preparing humanity for future challenges that lurk in the cosmos. Yet, the galaxy is vast and full of unknown dangers. The Zareth Dominion, though defeated here, remains a looming threat, retreating to lick their wounds and rethink their strategies. The Deathworlders and their allies understand this is not the end but the beginning of a larger conflict that will test their resolve further. In the final scenes, the narrative zooms out to show the fleet and the colony as beacons of hope and defiance in a galaxy often indifferent to hardship. Messages from allied worlds pour in, requests for aid and offers of partnership, signaling that the Deathworlders have sparked a movement, one that challenges the complacency of the established powers. The legacy of the Deathworlders is thus more than survival. It is a call to the galaxy that humanity, especially those hardened on Deathworlds, is a force to be reckoned with. Their story becomes a legend of courage, unity, and unbreakable spirit. a message that will echo across stars and inspire all who face impossible odds.